Well, g'day, Max here again. Welcome back to the shop. Well, I wasn't going to do another video this soon because I've just been messing around with personal entry doors. But a couple of things cropped up. There's a little couple of points on the door with the welding that I just put a short clip in, and we've got new machine, well, an old machine that's new to me. So we'll have a quick look at that. And we've got, I just took a couple of clips using a track press at work. Just changing two master links in the tracks of a 345 Caterpillar excavator. Now that's something that most people generally don't get to see. It does freak people out when they see people using this equipment, because you've got to get right up and close to it. There's not much option. And this was a borrowed press, this one, and of course the remote didn't work, so it makes things a bit more difficult. But no, we got it done without any incident, so that's another job ticked off there. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, I wasn't going to film any of the doors, making the doors, but there's a couple of points I'll point out. So we've got our two door frames made, one here, one over yonder on the bench. So we've got all our bits and pieces in to hold the locks and handles and all that. One thing I will point out, if you have to make a door frame similar to this, you'll notice that I keep the welding, any welding on the front and rear faces to an absolute minimum. Of course, here on the ends you have to weld. This cross piece in the middle, I've only welded down the insides. There's no welding on the face of the door. The reason I do that is to keep the door straight. As soon as you start welding here, it will warp like a banana, and then you've got to go and buggerize around and straighten it all back out. So it'll give minimal distortion, just keeping the welds on the inside. Over the length of that door is probably about 2 millimeters all up. So it's not enough to worry about straightening it. So what I'll do, I've got the strong back, 4 hinges on the door which have to be exactly in line for the door to operate easily, and so the hinges don't fight each other. This strong back will pull the 2 millimeters into line, and when I attach the sheet, it will hold it all in position. So we'll give a thin bead of 221 Sikaflex all the way around, and then the sheet will get pop riveted on with some large stainless steel pop rivets, and that will hold it all in place. So once we've done that, we flip the door over, as you'll see, and then we just drill the holes through to mount the locks and latches. Okay, so we've transferred all our holes over for the locks and latches to the outer door skin. And we transferred it through our existing holes. So we've packed the door full of insulation. So all that's left on this one now is we'll put a bead of Sikaflex around the outside, same as we did on the other one. We'll lift this outer skin over and we'll pop rivet it down in place. So it should make for a good door. So we made good headway well into our personal entry doors. So we've got this one here and our other one here. So these are a double skinned insulated door that I've made up, and they're bloody heavy. I can't lift them, so it's a good thing I put 4 hinges on them. So we're just messing around and getting the locks and latches sorted out at the moment, and then they'll be complete. one new link. If you watch Curtis from Cutting Edge Engineering the other week, he had one of these equaliser bars he was machining. So this is where it sits in the D10 dozer underneath. Spreads between the two track frames and the main chassis support. So it rocks on a centre pin. These pins are as tight as fuck in here. And the ends he was machining was the ends for these pins here. So that's where that part goes. And they're an absolute bitch of a thing to get in and out. Yeah, bit of useless information for you. Okay, here we go again. This will be the last addition to the grinding area of the new shop. So this will be the fourth grinder to go into position when it gets into position. So we'll get her unstrapped and unloaded, hopefully in a safe fashion. Okay, we finally got her into position where it can sit for a while. It's only its temporary position, as with everything in here. I've just got to get it off the skates and onto some timber blocks. I thought it was going to be an easy job getting it here. It should have been. As you'll see in the next photo, yeah, well, I had it on the Hiab truck there. Now that Hiab on that truck should have been able to lift this easy. The weight of this is 3 tonnes, 3,060 kilograms, and the Hiab is a 5-tonne Hiab, and I was well within the load radius on the chart, so it should have handled it alright. But I think there's a fault with one of the sensors. Being a brand new Hiab, they have all load limit sensors on them, so you don't overload them. So it's got to go in. That truck will have to go in and be sorted out next week, whatever they want to do. So I had to get it transferred onto a tilt tray. So yeah, that was me following it back here on the tilt tray. I had to go back to work, use the overhead crane, lift it off the Hiab truck, and that's our crane has a set of scales. So that's how I got the exact weight, which I had guessed it to be 3 tonne. So I looked up the size of a similar machine. It was a Landis, American Landis, same capacity, 10 by 24 inch. And yeah, that was 3 tonnes, so it's the same size machine. Yeah, so well, let's get you in and have a bit of a close-up. So we have our skates under the front of the machine, just off at a bit of an angle to point towards the general direction of where we hope to end up. And around the rear, we just have one skate under the middle of the rear. So these are machinery moving skates. And my toe jacks, they're just an 8-tonne jack with a bit of steel plate welded on the base. This honky looking thing here, which I bent the first time I used it, because I knocked these up in a hurry. Like this is like, a pair of these is probably an hour's work to knock together, so I had to move the boring mill in a hurry. So what we'll do now is we'll tie a sling around the machine, and then we'll anchor the other end of the sling down here to this eyelet on the column of the building, and we'll pull her over. While we're over here at these column bases, I have purposely left these studs long for 2 reasons. There's one reason, so we can tow machines around. The second reason, if I have to put another column up here to support maybe something to do with some sort of overhead lifting structure over the machines, I can still pick up off these 2 studs and bring a plate out. And that way I only have to maybe drill 2 extra holes, and I can still use these. So that's why they've all in a row on every column has been left long. This is our setup, so we've got a couple of soft slings around the machine, just onto a chain we can easily shorten, come along onto the building. So I can move this entire machine with one finger. Just a short note with the soft slings, these are old ones I get from work. Because they've been damaged, they have to be thrown out. So if you are using soft slings to tow, you don't want to use the same ones that you use for lifting, because you don't. I mean, they're well within their capabilities doing this, dragging this machine on skates. It's not recommended practice that you use your lifting slings for towing, because you can overload them, because you do not know what weight you're towing. But anyway, let's get humping on this lever hoist and get our grinder shuffled into position. One finger. It's a slow process, but steady and slow is the only way to do it. Generally with machine moving skates, you've got to use your ears, you've got to listen to what they're doing. 9 out of 10 times you'll hear it before they shift and start to want to pop out from under the machine. You'll hear it give a slight jolt, stop and go and check all your skates and readjust if necessary. Okay, so we've just done an adjustment on our sling, and now we're just pulling from one corner, and we've adjusted the skate under the back there. We've kicked that round at a bit more angle. This is what we need, is the machine to turn a little bit, and so it pulls up into its parking spot there in some sort of parallel fashion, a bit like manoeuvring the Queen Mary. Yeah, so that 3,060 kilograms or 3 tonne is roughly 6,700 pounds there, give or take. So yeah, as I said, it's a 10-inch by 24-inch universal cylindrical grinder. Now it's a universal grinder because the head here swivels around. So she has a swivel there. I have the guard removed at the moment because it was in the way of the lifting slings when I was lifting it. It's very grubby. It's in original condition. I'm pretty sure by the looks of this is still the original paint on the machine too. It has the majority of its original tags in place. So I think she'll be a good one for the shop. Now, we will give this machine a full strip down and going over, thorough inspection, and fix anything that needs to be fixed, and we'll also we'll give it a coat of paint too, I think. So it has the ID, this arm up here. This folds down, drops down, and it's an internal grinding attachment which runs off this top motor, off this flat belt, and onto this these flat belt pulleys. And of course there's your grinding stone there. Now my reasons for buying this machine, I have a lot of 40 and 50 taper tooling to make for the big Russian milling machine, and I want it all properly hardened and ground, and so that was the need. This is why I had to get this machine. And once all that's done, I do have other things in the pipeline for this, for basically like for bread and butter jobs for the shop. So yeah, well, hopefully there's no hidden surprises. Everything feels nice and smooth on it. Everything's in original condition and nothing's really been messed around with or damaged in any major way. A couple of the guards have copped a little bit of damage, you know, just through its life. Just so there'll be a little bit of cast iron welding on them, but they're only a minor detail. So yeah. So this is the fourth grinding machine that'll go into the grinding area. So there's this grinder, the German WMW ID grinder, and that's the same size machine as this. It's a 3-ton machine. And we've got our surface grinder that we picked up last week, or the other week, and our tool and cutter grinder. And they'll all go in this area, this corner of the shop down here. Yeah. You know, it's just a grey old day out there today, a bit of wind and a bit of rain on and off. Of course, I don't have electric lights in here yet, so what I'm seeing through the iPad is looking very dark, so I won't know until I go to edit this, see if I end up, well, see if I have some usable footage. Hopefully I have. So anyway, well, that's where I am. I guess I've got all the flashing, or most of the flashing now ordered. I've got it here now for the building, so probably next week I'll start doing the flashing on the corners and up on the roof. So we'll probably make another video in probably another 2 or 3 weeks and see how we're travelling there. So anyway, it's getting a bit windy in here, eh? There's no doors and the wind's howling through. So anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for sticking by, and hopefully catch you in the next one.